Chapter 421, Humanity's Victory. Why doesn't the mechanical giant use the rays any longer? It has stopped. Its movements also became slower. What's going on? The dense mass of figures around the space began to surround the mechanical giant, closing in the gaps as they launched attacks akin to the tides, engulfing the giant completely. However, the energy in the mechanical giant seemed endless, its ability to persist in combat mode far surpassed humans. After experiencing the short-term advantage earlier before the mechanical giant transformed, the cultivators all fell into the disadvantageous position once again due to the great disparity in strength. When everyone was feeling more and more uneasy, the initially difficult situation actually became more relaxed. The movements of the mechanical giant got increasingly slower. The light rays it manifested were also reduced in number, allowing the humans to see a precious opportunity to catch their breaths. What happened exactly? They couldn't help but have some guesses in their hearts. Could the mechanical giant that was seemingly filled with boundless energy finally exhaust itself? But this was impossible. Those who could join the Great Wall University could all be considered experts in terms of scientific knowledge. Nuclear fusion technology was already common knowledge in the interstellar era. Even elementary school students understood the principle of it. Nuclear fusion was a reaction in which two or more atomic nuclei were combined to form one or more different atomic nuclei, and subatomic particles. The difference in mass between the reactants and products was manifested as either the release or absorption of vast amounts of energy. As long as the matter wasn't completely exhausted, based on energy theory, the energy should be endless. Thus, it was impossible for it to exhaust all its energy within such a short time. In that case, what had happened then? The gazes all stared over. After that, everyone had a shocked look on their faces. They saw a silvery beam of light dancing around the gaps of countless metallic tentacles, agilely avoiding them. Every time the tentacles closed in, the beam of silver light would be able to miraculously find a gap and evade using that gap with perfect timing. Gradually, a figure within the beam of silver light could be seen. Ions ejection. By manipulating the microscopic particles to give himself a great boost in speed. His body regulated inertia by continuously somersaulting. Could this be a different method, yet led to the same result as the legendary somersault cloud of Sun Wukong? In his heart, Feng Lin speculated that this must be the truth. He felt like he had seen through a certain key. But now, given the dangerous situation, he didn't have time to think too much. The metal cudgel in his hand continued to slam out, widening the crack on the protective barrier unceasingly. The power within the energy core continued to seep out, manifesting the particle storm that engulfed the surrounding space. The mechanical giant could also clearly sense that its energy was leaking. It was completely enraged and attacked violently. The numerous metallic tentacles resembled the claws and fangs of demons and ghosts, crisscrossing in the air. The tentacles together were like a huge web that continued trying to trap Feng Lin. This ability that enabled him to control the ions resembled the legendary somersault cloud. Feng Lin evaded deftly through the air, appearing to be in full control. However, he gradually felt the pressure increasing. The number of metallic tentacles increased, gradually locking down on the available space he could dodge to. If there weren't any gaps, no matter how agile Feng Lin was, it would be useless. This wasn't a solution if things continued like this. Feng Lin's heart sank. If this continued on, it would be equivalent to him going against the mechanical giant alone. The disparity between their strengths was like the heavens and earth. This was an objective truth that couldn't be mitigated no matter how strong a person's will was. Feng Lin had to combine the strengths of everyone before they had a ray of hope. He was decisive and didn't hesitate, instantly shouting out via his spirit force. His voice then rang out loud in the minds of everyone on the battlefield. The energy core of the mechanical giant is within its chest. I have already located the flaw. As long as we destroy the core, the mechanical giant will implode and die. The victory of this war would belong to us humans. Hurry, come and aid me. His voice echoed through all corners of the starry space. Everyone could hear him clearly. Only then did everyone realize what was going on. They finally understood why the attacks and movements of the mechanical giant became so much slower. Clearly, Feng Lin's attacks touched on its critical weakness. This man actually dared to fight the mechanical giant in close combat and even destroyed the protective barrier, protecting its most important energy core. His courage was truly extraordinary. They were both shocked and impressed. Since this was the case, they naturally couldn't drag Feng Lin down. The hearts of all the cultivators were filled with pride. At this point, there was no dispute in competing for contribution points. All internal competition between humans were insignificant, unworthy to be mentioned. As long as they could destroy the mechanical giant, no matter how great the price they had to pay, everything would be worth it. Everything was for the sake of humans being able to claim victory. Everything for humanity. With such thoughts in mind, the humans on the battlefield continued to advance wave upon wave. Particle explosion. Material crush. Electromagnetic chaos field. All sorts of energy attacks that could destroy matter were blasted at the mechanical giant, wanting to shatter it. One of the metallic tentacles was destroyed, and it could only helplessly retract that tentacle back into its body. True martial cannon hammer. Boom. A rumbling sound rang out as a giant fist punched forth. The gigantic true martial law body stepped across space. The qi and blood it exuded surged forth in waves, with the extremities of yin and yang in tai chi. It gathered softly before unleashing an exceptionally tough blow, producing an extreme might. As expected of its name, the cannon hammer contained force akin to the great sun. It felt like it could really vanquish ghosts and demons, destroying everything effortlessly. After the mechanical giant endured this blow, its head actually caved in. Over 100 of its eyes were smashed apart, creating huge explosions. Its body continued to sway, and it staggered backward unstably. After unleashing such a huge killing move, Zhao Yui's strength was greatly expended, her qi and blood were exhausted too. She retracted her law body and reverted back to her original form. Right now, her face was completely pale. However, her beautiful eyes brightened as she stared at Feng Lin unblinkingly. You definitely have to succeed. For the sake of humanity's victory. For the sake of. But at this moment, Feng Lin didn't have the time to have so many considerations. After experiencing so many obstructions and attacks in addition to its energy leaking out continuously, the mechanical giant's movements grew even slower. Feng Lin instantly felt the pressure on him greatly alleviated. The dawn of victory was getting closer. Everything was so due to the hard work and sacrifices of everyone. They definitely mustn't waste this valuable opportunity. Feng Lin drew in a deep breath. He ignored his future indigestion's problem and bit down on 3-9 Revolution's birth transformation pills. Medicinal potency akin to flames surged within his body, replenishing his strength. His eyes flared with anger as he unleashed even more power. Break for me. His roar of anger contained incomparably terrifying conviction as his metal cudgel smashed heavily on the energy barrier. Walala. It was like glass had shattered. The energy barrier completely collapsed, leaving a huge energy core resembling a fireball akin to the sun. This miniature sun radiated boundless heat and light, capable of melting all objects. This was such a terrifying thing, no life forms would be able to get near it. But right now, in Feng Lin's perspective, the mechanical giant was a fully naked young woman in the prime of her youth. He could do anything he wanted to it. Go, go, go. Feng Lin silently roared. Numerous golden pills that were as dazzling as stars flew over by virtue of his spirit force. These golden pills seemed so insignificant before the miniature sun, but the moment the pills were blasted into the energy core, it was like dripping water on boiling oil. The energy within started to churn wildly. Air bubbles began to appear in the solution within the energy core. The solution was like boiling magma. A dangerous, destructive aura was emitted from it as intense reactions unknown to everyone were occurring every moment. Boom. At the next instant, the energy core suddenly exploded. Boundless red light flooded the sky, entering the vision of everyone, illuminating the starry space. The stars in the starry space all lost their color. Only that single source of dazzling light remained. Chapter 422, Victorious Return. The boundless red light of flames exploded out in the starry space, illuminating an extremely vast area as it continued to spread outward. It resembled the explosion of a supernova. Boundless heat erupted forth, engulfing everything, completely turning everything in its radius into dust. The fire from the mechanical giant's chest towered up into the sky. The energy core exploded completely. For a time, the most resplendent fireworks could be seen in the surrounding space. The ions instantly blasted over 1 billion times in the mechanical giant. They completely caused the mechanical giant's body to disintegrate and vaporized. The mechanical giant's body, which was like a huge mountain, began to collapse like dominoes. At the start, only a few parts collapsed. In the end, a chain reaction was formed as the crumbling grew more intense. However, things weren't concluded yet. The collapsed material fell into the core and became the new nuclear fuel. The explosion continued as lava bubbles appeared one after the other. The fireball that was the miniature sun began to expand at a speed visible to the naked eye, creating a gigantic cavity in the chest of the mechanical giant. The energy within it lost control. Its 1,000 eyes burst into flames and ended up completely destroyed. The malevolent face of the mechanical giant now showed an expression resembling fear. This caused all the humans on and off the battlefield to feel a sense of satisfaction. No matter how it struggled, its body was still collapsing, engulfed by flames. The stars in the surrounding space temporarily lost their color. Only a fireball that was expanding ceaselessly and radiating boundless heat and light remained. Right ahead, there was a tiny black dot being reflected in the eyes of everyone. If one took a closer look, they could see that the black dot was a human figure standing in the air. He was directly facing the giant fireball. However, the seemingly tiny figure in the air was now extremely tall and imposing in the eyes of everyone spectating the battle. Is it him? He actually caused the energy core to explode. Incredible. What method did he use? Countless gazes inside and outside of the Great Wall University stared at Feng Lin. All of them were stunned. For a time, they didn't know what words could they use to describe what they were seeing now. Many words flashed past their minds, but only a single word remained. Hero. That's right. He is a hero. A weak human body actually managed to destroy the mechanical giant who was dominating everyone. He accomplished a miracle of the weak triumphing over the strong. Other than stories of heroes in the legend, there was nothing that could be compared to his magnificent feat. What was a hero? A hero was someone that appeared to save the situation during a dangerous predicament. That was a hero. Only a hero could step out and bring new hope to those who were feeling despair. Naturally, the others on the battlefield were also worthy of the title hero. But at this moment, in the eyes of the crowd, only a single person was a hero in their eyes. That person was none other than that tiny figure facing the nuclear explosion alone. There was only one, there were no other. The mechanical giant is destroyed just like that? We actually succeeded? Is this a dream or is this reality? As the red light covered the entire starry space, the cultivators on the battlefield were all stunned by Feng Lin's appearance. For the safety of the Great Wall University and to protect the star region of humanity, they couldn't allow the mechanical giant to advance even a step into their territories. They vowed to give their lives up if that could kill it. But all of them knew this was an extremely difficult and dangerous task. Even so, they had no choice. They couldn't retreat and had no way to retreat. They could only give it their all and stake it on a gamble. Now that this reality that only had a probability of 1 in countless millions actually happened before their eyes, they all didn't know how to react and felt a sense of surrealism for a time. And just as they were in a daze and were unmoving, the flames and light continued to spread. A figure rapidly retreated as his roar echoed in the ears of everyone. "Leave quickly." Only then did the people here react. An explosion of a nuclear energy core. There was no difference between this and the explosion of a small-scaled supernova. The violent energy particles and intense radiation were enough to engulf everything, bringing destruction in its wake. There was no need to mention anything about the effect it would bring to the weak bodies of humans. In truth, even with the current technology, it was hard to produce supermaterials that could withstand a nuclear explosion. The energy radiation scale on the micromecha armor was rising at a shocking speed, turning red and emitting shrill sounds of warning. "Go." Seeing that the situation wasn't right, everyone retreated in an orderly manner. They didn't waste time and began to evacuate respectively. The full loading state of the micromecha armor activated, emitting waves of flames and light behind. Those with special genetic powers all unleashed them, ignoring the consumption to their energy. They wanted nothing more than to flee this place as quickly as possible. They staked their lives and finally killed this mechanical giant after so much difficulty. If they died from the explosion due to fleeing too slowly, they would truly have died for nothing. They naturally wanted to flee as fast as they could. Their earlier complacent feeling was gone completely. Right now, everyone was fleeing frenziedly as though they just saw a ghost. The mecha armors of everyone emitted trails of sparks resembling shooting stars arcing through the sky as they fled toward the Great Wall University. If this was considered a victorious return, wasn't the scene a little too comical? However, no mocking laughter rang out within the Great Wall University. The gazes of everyone were filled with respect and reverence. They actually managed to do it. These cultivators and students achieved the impossible feat of destroying the mechanical giant and had protected the Great Wall University. Humanity was safe now. Although the scene of everyone fleeing the explosion looked extremely miserable, when they had given it their all to stop the mechanical giants, they all truly looked extremely impressive. Right now, the hearts of the spectators were all filled with admiration. Many marshals stood in the airspace above the university as a feeling of gratification filled their hearts. They laughed loudly. "Open the teleportation light beam and welcome our heroes back." The explosion of the energy core caused streams of ions to shoot out madly, wanting to engulf everything. If this continued, although those people might return successfully, they would be heavily injured. Ordinary medical methods would be useless, and they had to use emergency-saving methods. Although the expenditure of the teleportation light beam was huge, no matter how valuable it was, it couldn't compare to the value of these heroic warriors who went onto the battlefield to kill their enemies. "Yes, marshals," the AI of the Great Wall University instantly replied. Numerous beams of light enveloped everyone as the space around them began to distort. The figures were seemingly absorbed into the beams of light and vanished from their locations. When they appeared again, they were already inside the Great Wall University. "Hero. Hero. Hero." Feng Lin and everyone else opened their eyes. Before they could recover, they already saw countless faces filled with wild joy and admiration rushing toward them. The cheers of joy rang out again and again. Everyone was completely wild, the sounds of their cheers towered up into the space. The warriors and students of the earlier defense formation team and attack formation team also appeared. They stood together with Feng Lin and the others, enjoying the cheers of the crowd. Unknowingly, they puffed their chests out as their hearts were stirred with emotions. At this moment, every one of them felt that staking their lives was worth it. They felt joy and pride from the bottom of their hearts. It was truly glorious for them to have a chance to participate in such a battle when they were so young. Winning against the strong despite being so much weaker. They, humans with weak physical bodies, actually managed to destroy the vanguard force of the spirit race completely. Most probably, this moment would be one of the most glorious ones of their lives. And the people surrounding Feng Lin cheered him, but they weren't shouting the word hero. They were shouting, Supreme Hero! Supreme Hero! Supreme Hero! The cheers continued for a very long time. As the person involved, Feng Lin had a self-mocking smile on his face. He didn't feel that he was a supreme hero. I'm not Ji Zuanbo, what sort of supreme hero can I be considered to be? Chapter 423, Supreme Hero. A hero was a hero. Everyone on the battlefield had destroyed the despair-bringing mechanical giant. Every one of them was qualified to be called a hero. However, only Feng Lin alone could depend on himself to destroy the energy core, completely overturning the disadvantageous situation they were in and determining the direction of the battlefield. What was a hero among heroes? Maybe, only 2 words could describe him. Supreme Hero. However, when he heard the cheers of everyone, Feng Lin was actually frowning slightly. One of the most important reasons why he was able to destroy the energy core was because of the crimson gold cinnabar pills. Moreover, without the others that had restricted the majority of the mechanical giant's attacks, it would have been impossible for him to succeed. Behind miracles was the unified efforts of everyone. The credit didn't belong to him alone. But under the impassioned cries of the crowd, Feng Lin also sensibly accepted their cheers. Things would be even more chaotic if he tried to explain. In truth, the others who fought on the battlefield also really enjoyed the cheers of the crowd. There was basically no one who minded this. Staring at the enthusiastic looks of the crowd, the ice-cold shell that had always encased Feng Lin's heart showed signs of melting away. Are these all my comrades? As a human, I shall naturally protect humanity. Imperceptibly, Feng Lin seemed to have understood something. He found his original heart as a human, and the sense of estrangement he had always felt also disappeared somewhat. Those interstellar marshals who were elders of the Great Wall University stared at the scene before them, smiles on their faces. They didn't stop the crowd. They knew these cheers were what the warriors and students who had fought on the battlefield deserved. Although humanity's science and technology were developed to an unprecedented flourishing state, their bodies were extremely fragile as carbon-based life forms. Their energy utilization rate was also extremely low. Countless races were living in the universe and they came in all shapes and forms. The energy utilization rate was a fundamental standard to measure the merits and drawbacks of a particular race. Carbon-based life forms were undoubtedly one of the weakest types of races. But why, when the ancient humans exited the solar system, they only spent 1,000 years to conquer the entire Milky Way galaxy? They depended precisely on their unified efforts and trust. No matter how much conflict there was internally, when the danger of another race closed in, all humans would unite as one to deal with the external threat. The strength produced by billions of people when united could only be described as explosive. Although the cosmos was dangerous, it wasn't able to obstruct humans from advancing. And now, they, humans with their weak physical bodies, actually defeated the terrifying mechanical giant. This was naturally an extremely outstanding outcome. All these people were the future seeds for humanity. With qualified successors to carry on humanity's undertaking, they would always have hope. After experiencing the tempering of so many battles, these people all displayed their incomparable strength and potential. The treasured swords were finally out of their sheaths. These people had all entered the list of students to be heavily nurtured by the Great Wall University. And those who were on the battlefield and had survived were all enjoying the cheers of the crowd. Not a single one of them thought of this yet. Quickly look. The spirit race was forced back, an exclamation rang out. The gazes of everyone turned over and they stared at the starry space outside. The cheers then grew even louder. Outside the energy protective barrier, the vast black tide representing the spirit race was now receding like the ocean waves. They no longer launched any attacks. The grim situation was also alleviated and the atmosphere had returned to calmness. It's true. It's really happening. We've won. The terrifying spirit race has retreated. Long live humanity, long live to all the heroes. Shouts of excitement and the sounds of cheering continued. Feng Lin's expression sank, feeling that it wasn't so simple. His gaze swept over everyone and turned to the battlefield. The mechanical army was now completely destroyed, transforming into space garbage that drifted aimlessly across the universe. The Great Wall University sent out many flying shuttles to collect them, wanting to probe the secrets of the spirit race's technology. In truth, every time humanity was able to overcome a war with an alien race, they would gain huge benefits. The spirit race's strength spanned across many star systems. Their power far surpassed humanity. Being able to receive battle spoils from the spirit race would naturally prove to be an advancement in terms of humanity's science and technology. War would always be an opportunity that sparked huge wealth, regardless of the perspective of an individual or a race. For thousands of years, this had always been the case. And during each racial war, humanity encountered danger several times, yet they were able to endure through everything and manage to obtain huge benefits after each war, allowing their technology to advance tens or hundreds of years. From the basics of nuclear fusion technology, humanity slowly improved and gained the energy barrier tech and wormhole tech, slowly expanding over the Milky Way galaxy. They even wanted to continue expanding outwards. War would truly be one of the best opportunities to gain great wealth. However, the prerequisite was humanity had to be strong enough to tide over and overcome the cruel war between them and other alien races. At this moment, Feng Lin could see clearly that although the spirit tide showed signs of retreat, they didn't evacuate completely. They returned to the depths of the starry space and stayed there, maintaining a stance of opposition to humanity. A racial war was the clash between the foundation of two races. Victory or defeat wouldn't be decided simply from a single battle. It would be a series of drawn-out, protracted battles. The opponents Feng Lin and the others defeated were merely vanguards of the spirit race. The true racial war had only just begun. Next, the war would be even crueler, far surpassing their imaginations. Feng Lin silently clenched his fist. Just from this first battle, things were already so dangerous. His current strength was simply not enough. In the cruel universe, the various races formed a magnificent food chain. Big fish would eat small fish, and small fish would eat shrimps. Things were cruel to the extreme. Each civilization would plunder the foundations of the other party to nourish themselves, advancing their own technology to allow rapid advancement of their civilization. This was the rule of the jungle, only one could survive. There was no logic to it. Weakness was the greatest original sin. After the battle, Feng Lin was incomparably clear that his strength was still too weak. In the grand wars of the universe, he was just like an ant. If he was the slightest bit careless on the battlefield, his ending would be one of death. Zhao Yui at the side stared at this scene. Her expression also turned solemn. It was like they were bonded by telepathy. She and Feng Lin exchanged a mutual glance and nodded respectively, instantly understanding each other's thoughts. After understanding the urgency of war, Feng Lin didn't have the mood to stay here any longer. Under the gazes of the crowd, he turned and left directly. In this battle, he exhausted too much of his strength and origin chi. He had to quickly recover to his peak state. But what was more important was that he had to search for a way to enhance his strength. If one had to put their lives on stake every time they wanted to be a hero, he'd rather not be one. When one could dominate countless interstellar races alone, conducting a ruthless and decisive massacre, these people would be known as formidable characters. And rather than being a hero, Feng Lin would rather become a formidable character instead. If I save everyone time to time again, I might be known as a hero, but then I have to put my life on the line every single time. If that's the case, I might as well be the one to let them down instead. The situation in the universe was extremely challenging. What humanity needed wasn't heroic stories of tragedy. What they needed was someone who had the power to massacre countless alien races that might prove a threat against them. They needed a tyrant lord. Chapter 424, Ascending to the Top of the Rankings. Breath in, breath out. He breathed in deeply, and his breath was like arrows, long and continuous. It was like all impurities in his body was being exhaled. His chest heaved up and down as a low rumbling sound could be heard. The sound was filled with force and power, clearly exhibiting an extraordinary life force. His boiling chi and blood churned wildly in his body as his mythological genes were stimulated, becoming extremely lively. Genetic potential plus 19.8, plus 19.8, plus 19.8. Monkey King gene plus 1, Dao Heart gene plus 1. The two powerful heaven genes were strengthened by 1 point. Feng Lin's vitality stats had also undergone a huge boost. Name, Feng Lin. Vitality stat, 6180. Heaven genes, Monkey King gene x5, Dao Heart gene x3. Transcendent genes, Spiritual Stone Monkey gene x10, Beast King gene x10, Minute Knowledge gene x9, Meditation gene x8. Genetic potential, 1612. As both the heaven genes were strengthened by 1 point each, his vitality stat broke through 6,000 in a single shot. Even among grand cultivators, he was considered near the pinnacle. But this was still too slow. Feng Lin opened his eyes, a look of dissatisfaction on his face. The black spirit tide was still in the starry space, eyeing humanity like how a tiger eyed its prey. The war could happen again at any moment, and the situation was exceedingly dangerous. Any bit of increase in strength was extremely valuable. Given his current cultivation, he was considered below average in the Great Wall University. There was no need to mention about him being on the cruel battlefield. It was a problem even for him to protect his own safety. Only by becoming the 3 levels of the Adept realm would he be able to have some basic capability to protect himself. If not, if he was the slightest bit careless or unlucky, his little life would instantly be lost. This was something Feng Lin could never accept. Weakness was the greatest original sin, and in extreme times, one had to use extreme methods. He had to think of more ways to get stronger rapidly, ignoring all costs. Just when Feng Lin was thinking about this, the sound of notifications rang out. He opened his ID microchip and saw a holographic projection of a sturdy figure. This was none other than that interstellar marshal. He spoke in a heavy voice to Feng Lin, congratulations. You destroyed the mechanical giant and obtained the top contributions in the first battle. According to the inspector on the battlefield, the military affairs of the Great Wall University had negotiated, and has decided to reward you with 10 million contribution points. At the same time, your military rank shall be up by 1, you are promoted to a captain. Causing the energy core to explode, destroying the mechanical giant. This merit achieved from this battle was truly great. The contribution points that he received also far surpassed his imagination. One must note that he had just recently been promoted to the first lieutenant position. The Committee of Military Affairs actually didn't care to avoid gossip and instantly raised his rank by 1 level. From this, one could see that Feng Lin's efforts had already reached the point where it was impossible not to reward him. This was the opportunity war brought. The greater the risk, the greater the returns. At times like this, once one's contribution points were tallied, they would undoubtedly be several times more compared to ordinary times. All of this was within Feng Lin's expectations. Ever since he succeeded in destroying the mechanical giant, he already knew that he would receive great rewards. There was naturally nothing too surprising. What made him feel joy was his promotion to captain. Upon becoming a captain, he could already be considered in the middle echelons of the Great Wall University. The amount of extrajudicial authority and benefits he could receive would be even better. This point was precisely what he wanted. He simply had too many secrets on him that couldn't be divulged. By being promoted to a captain, he would have more space and freedom when doing things. The other rewards were just external items. Feng Lin quickly recovered his calm after hearing about them. At this moment, there were still other messages in his ID microchip. He opened up one which was sent by a familiar person. When he clicked it open, the hologram of Zhao Yui projected out. "Senior Sister Zhao, is there a reason why you are looking for me?" A knowing smile appeared on Feng Lin's face. This Zhao Yui was walking on the Xinlu Emperor mythology path. It was filled with difficulties, but even so, she didn't shrink back despite being a female. Her combat prowess was beyond outstanding and she had gained the title of Martial Queen. Feng Lin didn't fear her combat strength, but he was impressed by her Dao heart. Hence, in his eyes, Zhao Yui was different compared to others. "Feng Lin, didn't you notice?" Upon hearing Feng Lin's question, Zhao Yui smiled. "You've already ascended to the top of the star-level rankings." "The top of the star-level rankings?" Feng Lin was shocked. He opened up the star web and searched. To his surprise, he really saw his name shooting up like a rocket, surpassing many competitors and forcibly ascending to the top position of the star-level Heaven's Chosen ranking board, allowing him to lord over those other heroes below him arrogantly. Feng Lin, he is from the desolate solar system, a freshman of the Great Wall University. Current cultivation base, Grand Cultivator Realm. Vitality stat at least above 6,000. Battle achievements, inventor of the Crimson Refinement gunpowder, and having killed countless spirit race members before, in addition to destroying the mechanical giant. Feng Lin's information on the ranking was updated. His vitality stat also received a higher evaluation and his battle achievements were refreshed with an additional item. Just the addition of this item alone allowed him to ascend to the peak. One must note that those ranked below him were no weaklings. All of them had vitality stats over 9,000 and they were all incomparably outstanding elites among their peers. Yet, Feng Lin dominated over all of them with just having a vitality stat of over 6,000. He even ascended to the top position. There was no doubt that his name now was extremely conspicuous. However, no complaints about the rankings could be heard. There were only praises of admiration. He is the person who destroyed the mechanical giant? The methods of this Feng Lin are truly impressive. How did he do it? This magnificent feat from a grand cultivator was an incomparably dangerous thing. If it wasn't for the fact that his cultivation base is too low, it probably wouldn't be a problem for him to ascend to the moon level rankings as well. Although his vitality stat was low, his genuine battle achievement was there. No one was a fool here, everyone could see clearly. They naturally wouldn't doubt his ability or that would be equivalent to them insulting their own intelligence. And before Feng Lin's dazzling battle achievements, everyone felt that he couldn't be measured by the usual standards of a grand cultivator. He seemed to have endless methods at his disposal and no one knew where he had learned them from. Below the ranking board, the sounds of numerous intense discussions could be heard. Feng Lin simply took in everything calmly, nodding his head in response. Heroes could only rise if there was an opportunity to do so. Every time during a war, danger and opportunity existed side by side. If it wasn't for his merit at the first battle, how could he be able to ascend to the top position in a single shot? After exchanging a few more conventional greetings with Zhao Yui, he didn't rest and instantly began a new session of cultivation. The powerful constitution of a grand cultivator allowed him to maintain a longer and even more intense cultivation session. Genetic potential plus 15.2, plus 15.2, plus 15.2. But as he cultivated, Feng Lin discovered that the rise in his genetic potential grew slower and slower, like he had touched on an invisible but solid bottleneck. It was useless even if he consumed more alchemy pills. Things would be bad if this continued on. More battles were on the verge of breaking out, and he didn't have much idle time left. He could only use the mythology deduction method. Feng Lin silently mused. His hands folded gestures as his mind entered the depths of his heart, causing his entire person to be immersed in a miraculous state. He entered the mythology illusion realm once more. This time, he wanted to search for the path that would lead to him having a breakthrough, allowing him to enter the adept realm. Chapter 425, Crossing the Seas to Temper the Tao Heart. The waves seethed, with one being higher than the other and soaring straight for the sky. However, they had the power of 300,000 caddies and came smashing down fiercely, bringing forth even more turbulence. Under the majestic powers of heaven and earth, everything was crushed. A small boat was shaking amongst the turbulence, wavering under the ravaging tempest. However, it faced the turbulence head-on, being slapped into the seawater time and time again, yet floated up again strongly. It neither fell to the blowing wind nor the slapping water. It kept on fighting the tempest bravely. A golden figure stood on it. The seemingly hunchbacked figure had a firm and unwavering disposition, his hands gripping onto the sail tightly. His body swayed with the boat and he faced the danger of being sunk to the bottom of the sea at any moment. However, that pair of golden eyes remained as bright and indestructible as the most brilliant star in the sky. Such a will was unwavering. On this trip, I must find a method to true freedom, achieving eternal life and youth. With faith as strong as an ancient stubborn rock that couldn't be burned and smashed, it was as if everything in the world couldn't shake his will. The strongest in the world was never those who were born as divine beings. One could only be truly invincible when there was nothing to fear in their hearts. The golden monkey met the myriad of surging waves, swearing not to return if it didn't achieve eternal longevity. Although the powers of heaven and earth was extremely vast, there would come a time when they were expended. The wave finally calmed down and a rainbow stretched across the sky. That boat kept on being pushed forward by the waves. The tempest had passed and it was only then did the golden monkey heave a long sigh of relief. Its tensed-up heart was completely relaxed. It lay down on the boat and fell into a deep sleep. It was tired. A very long time passed by in this sleep. When the eyes opened once again, golden light gleamed within them as they radiated an intelligence glow that wasn't there before. Had he come to the mythology illusionscape again? Feng Lin stood up and looked at the situation around him. The sea region was vast and it seemed that he had left the flower fruit mountain. If he hadn't seen wrongly, what he had experienced should be the scene in which that stone monkey had journeyed out in pursuit of achieving the Tao. It continued until it found the patriarch Subhuti in the Aparagodania. This was going to be an extremely long journey. Anyway, regardless of how long he stayed in the illusionscape, it would just be a moment in the outside world, as if it was just a dream. Feng Lin wasn't anxious and immersed within it, sensing the mysteries of the myths and legends. The boat shook, heading slowly toward a land at the end of the seas. That place was the Jambudvipa. The sea was heartless on the journey, making this trip extremely long. Feng Lin's heart lay in concealment, stepping forward together with that monkey's movements. The tempest didn't stop during the journey and he was put through all sorts of world-annihilating situations. Everything seemed as if they were real, causing one's heart to undulate and he felt extremely astonished. That stone monkey's Tao heart was as strong as a tough stone, tempered by wind and rain but not being damaged in the least. Instead, it was tempered to become increasingly sharp, becoming a brilliant mind without any impurities. This was the path toward becoming a celestial. It was also a path in the pursuit of Tao, to be clear of one's own heart. Feng Lin was in this situation and seemed as if he had unknowingly become one with that monkey. Even his mind had gradually immersed into it, becoming still like an old well, not having the slightest ripple. To move together with mythology, unraveling the genes, tempering the mind. This was the profoundness behind the mythology deduction method. Feng Lin suddenly felt that he had experienced the greater profoundness of the Tao heart gene and his genetic power was raring to move. However, this still wasn't enough. He was going to become an adept interstellar cultivator in one go, awakening his Hotian gene that was above the heaven gene. The sea was vast, but it would always have an end. In the end, the boat finally reached the shores, to a place with countless countries and where countless legends had taken place. All of these seemed so new and refreshing to that monkey, surpassing its imagination. These races were the same as it, having 4 limbs, but the only thing they lacked was a tail. They looked like they were of the same race as it, but yet not so. This made it feel strange and surprised. However, after it stepped into the human world with a curious heart, what it attracted was a series of voices calling him monsters, and many so-called people, who claimed to be cultivating to become celestials and in the pursuit of Tao, came over with the intent to eliminate the demon. The stone monkey could only hug its head and dart around. Feng Lin watched this scene from the side and smiled understandingly. A thought struck him. Unlike the previous time, this time around, he didn't immerse his consciousness within it and directed the stone monkey's body. The path of becoming a celestial was the journey in which the stone monkey tempered his Tao heart. It was a cultivation for its mind. The person within it would be befuddled while those watching from the sidelines would be clear of what was happening. From an outsider's perspective, he might be able to unravel the truth better behind this mythology, comprehending his heart. There were many dangers with the stone monkey's initial entrance to the human world. However, the stone monkey was a spiritual creature of the world after all and had an astonishing intelligence, thus was able to quickly comprehend the crux. With its great talent in the art of transformations, it took on a human form and silently integrated amongst the humans without a trace. It no longer attracted any strange gazes. 8 to 9 years passed by and the stone monkey traveled the Jambudvipa, going through the major cities and small counties, as well as various countries. Unknowingly, he had become no different from ordinary people. Everything passed in a hurry, with the memories passing by very quickly. Feng Lin witnessed the stone monkey turning from a wild monkey to its eventual human-like appearance, being almost no different from that of a human. It had lived a beggar's life, studied, been a merchant before. The stone monkey made use of its art of transformations to travel around in the human world, gaining great experiences and living different lifestyles, put through the tempering of the secular world. Every phase of its life tended to be even more exciting than that of ordinary people. Feng Lin was also astonished by what he saw. The many varied, colorful flowers gradually enticed one's eyes. The secular world tended to be enticing, causing people to sink within them, shrouding their true hearts. Even if the stone monkey sank into it, not only did its heart and mind not get tainted in the least, but it also learned and comprehended all sorts of knowledge of the human world. Its intent to pursue the Tao became increasingly pure, and it even became its obsession that was hard to dissipate. If it could be said that it was previously born with a Tao heart that was like a beautiful and flawless piece of jade, then what it had now was a Tao heart like a pure and untainted lotus, tempered repeatedly and perfectly clean. It experienced 9 lifetimes in the mortal world, but still didn't find the method to achieve immortality. In the end, the stone monkey was unable to hold it in. One day, it suddenly heard that there was a celestial mountain on the sea, and it created a small boat, once again setting out for the vast seas. It continued to head west, and there was another world at the end of the seas. There were legends of immortals there. That place was Aparagodania. The journey was once again plagued with tempest and danger. The stone monkey kept on advancing, and as it traveled on, Feng Lin's mind was also tempered to become extremely intelligent. Personally experiencing such tempering was as if the stone monkey had personally demonstrated its long experiences to him. There were a few records in the myths and legends, but what he was seeing was the actual truth from witnessing the countless experiences. Pursuing the Tao was extremely tough. The stone monkey was nurtured and favored by the world, yet still had to go through many layers of difficulty, facing dangerous situations on multiple occasions. If it wasn't for its stone monkey body that was tough and indestructible, in addition to it being skilled in the art of transformations that aided it in many dangerous situations, ordinary people will die so thoroughly that not even any dregs were left. Despite so, the stone monkey was still covered in injuries, and it got onto the Aparagodania with great difficulties. Then, after going through another journey to pursue the Tao that was plagued with difficulties, it still didn't achieve anything. The many celestials mentioned in the world were just swindlers. Only a rare few of them had a slight knowledge about magical techniques, and it was hard to prove that they had achieved immortality. From the moment it headed out to sea until now, the stone monkey still hadn't achieved anything. Just as the stone monkey was thinking that there wasn't any method to break free from this world either and was going to traverse the sea again, it suddenly swayed in the mountains one day. It seemed to have been attracted by some kind of invisible force. It headed deep into the mountains as if it had been possessed. A majestic mountain range appeared before its eyes. There were all sorts of mysterious, rare plants and tall trees, as well as many beautiful irises and orchids surrounding the layers of the valleys. The cliffs were covered in algae. There were undulating mountains, presenting a beautiful and elegant scene of mountains and rivers. The stone monkey was looking at the scene when a singing voice suddenly rang out from the depths of the mountains. It sounded free and elegant, emitting endless unrestrained feelings. Placing the axe by the stream while watching a game of chess. Watching for a while and wanting to pick up the axe, but the axe had turned rusty. Clanking sounds rang out as the axe chopped down the trees. Walking along the valley that was shrouded by fog and selling off the firewood in exchange for some wine. Laughing happily, relaxing one's mind. Walking under the moonlight, leaning against a pine tree and sleeping until the arrival of daybreak. Chapter 426, Wukong, Comprehension of Space/Void, is required to break through ignorance. This Tao song was graceful and came from afar, with a free and unrestrained intent like a beautiful sound that rang through the valley. It had a mind-cleansing power. The stone monkey unknowingly got sucked into the song. It felt as if there were 10,000 monkeys jumping around in its heart, causing it to feel incredibly itchy. Chi chi chi. There must be an immortal here. It was overjoyed and scratched its ears and face, revealing the true nature of a monkey. It couldn't help but run in the direction of the voice, its pair of golden eyes staring at the front. The mountain paths were indistinct and the grass was very green. A woodcutter was raising his axe and chopping firewood. He seemed to have the appearance of a farmer, but his dressing was actually extraordinary. The bamboo hat he was wearing was made from new shoots, and the clothes he was wearing were made from silk cotton. His waistband was made from the silk of an old silkworm, and his sandals were made from dried plants. His steel axe was bound with hemp and he struggled as he chopped the trees. Feng Lin's heart undulated at the sight of this familiar scene. Had he finally come to the Fengsuan mountain? He was filled with curiosity. In the story Journey to the West, although there hadn't been many records about the Fengsuan Mountain's 3 Stars Cave, it was a place that had imparted Sun Wukong with world-astonishing capabilities. How could he possibly underestimate it? What kind of profoundness lies here? The great patriarch Subhuti was at least on the same level as the Buddha Lord Tathagata. Where had these powerful celestials gone? All sorts of mysteries shrouded in his heart, like a small lump of chaos. This was also the meaning behind the mythology deduction method. It caused one to be situated within it, dream about the ancient times, and explore the mysteries of the myths and legends from the very source. Feng Lin continued to watch on, waiting for the continuation. This person looked like a woodcutter, yet his appearance and dressing seemed extraordinary. Golden light kept on flashing in the stone monkey's eyes. It felt extremely excited and dashed up anxiously, bowing humanly. Old immortal. Disciple pays respect to you. The woodcutter quickly threw the axe to the side and turned to bow back. I can't accept that, I can't accept that. I'm merely a countryside woodcutter, so how can I possibly accept being called an immortal? The stone monkey said, if you aren't an immortal, how can you speak the words of one? How could one, if not an immortal, possibly sing with such a celestial intent? The woodcutter instantly laughed out loud. I'm just an ordinary woodcutter who stays in the vicinity. This was taught to me by a celestial. When the stone monkey heard that, it asked, is there really an immortal here? Where is he? It darted over, unable to hold back its urge. It was as if it wouldn't leave if the woodcutter refused to answer him. The woodcutter smiled, not hiding anything. It isn't far off, not far at all. This mountain is called the Spirit Platform Fongsuan Mountain, and there's a slanted moon 3 stars cave here. In that cave, there's an immortal called the Patriarch Subhuti. The Patriarch has countless disciples, and currently, there are 30 to 40 people cultivating under him. You will arrive at his place by following that small path and head 7 to 8 leagues toward the south. Hearing that, the stone monkey kept jumping about, feeling uncontrollably excited. After staying in the mortal world for several decades, it finally heard of an immortal in the mountains. It couldn't wait to go up the mountain immediately and said to the woodcutter, "Brother, please bring me there. If I were to gain benefits, I'll definitely not forget the favor you've given me for guiding me there." The woodcutter said helplessly, "Why are you so stubborn? I've already told you so clearly. Go there yourself. Go there yourself." After saying that, he forcibly broke away from the monkey's grasp and headed elsewhere to chop wood. The stone monkey could only leave things be and left by himself. It didn't notice that the woodcutter's smile gradually became restrained as he watched its departing figure. His eyes were filled with a mysterious glow. However, Feng Lin caught all of these and he went into deep thought. In the journey to the west, there were celestials everywhere, even more so than there were dogs. Thus, everything appeared as if they were coincidences, but things weren't really so simple. The woodcutter wasn't an actual woodcutter, but the monkey was an actual monkey. The monkey's entrance into the Fongsuan mountain might appear to be a coincidence, but it was actually something that had to take place. There must be some reason behind this, and it caused one to enter deep into thought. What kind of character was that Patriarch Subhuti? The stone monkey hadn't noticed these. It was as if it had seen its bright future of having taken a master and becoming an immortal. Its expression was that of great joy. It was as what the woodcutter said. It walked out of the forest, headed up the mountain, and a cave that was shrouded in fog and a celestial air soon came within sight. That cave that was closed tightly was quiet and without any trace of people. There was only a stone tablet here that was approximately 3 zhangs tall and 8 feet wide with the words, "Spirit Platform Fongsuan Mountain, Slanted Moon 3 Stars Cave." That woodcutter really didn't lie to me. The stone monkey was elated and jumped over. Before it stood before the cave, a loud creak rang out as the cave's entrance opened. A smart-looking child walked out. He wasn't surprised when he saw the stone monkey and spoke out in a loud voice, "You're the one here in pursuit of the Tao?" Hearing that, the monkey was overjoyed. That's me." The child said, "Come with me." The stone monkey sorted out its clothes to appear more presentable and followed the child into the depths of the cave, passing through layers of buildings. It was like a completely different world. An elderly man with a long beard sat on the platform with 30 younger celestials lining up in 2 rows. The atmosphere was neither that of Buddhism nor Taoism, with a silent and natural aura, having the same lifespan as that of the heavens, never aging. They appeared as if they were close up, yet also like the clouds that were in the far distance, could be seen but not to be surmised. Was this the Patriarch Subhuti? Feng Lin was taken by surprise, as if he had seen the faces of all living beings from this elderly man. However, with a single thought, they all turned into one entity. What was Fongsuan? What were 3 stars? What was Subhuti? Everything was in the heart. Feng Lin seemed to have unconsciously understood something, feeling that his Tao heart gene had been completely stimulated and was raring to move. The mythology illusionscape was still being demonstrated. The moment the stone monkey saw the patriarch, it immediately knelt down and cowed out endlessly, saying with great sincerity, "Master! Master! Disciple pays respect sincerely. Pays respect sincerely." The patriarch asked, "Where are you from?" The stone monkey replied, "Disciple comes from the flower fruit mountain in Purvavidaha's Aulai country." The patriarch ordered, "Chase him out." This is a swindler that isn't worthy to pursue the Tao. The stone monkey kept on kowtowing and said, "Disciple is honest and doesn't lie." The patriarch asked, "Since you're honest, why did you mention the Purvavidaha? That place is 2 seas and a Jambudvipa away. How could you come to this place?" The stone monkey kowtowed. Disciple has crossed the seas and traveled for several decades before arriving in this place. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Hearing the stone monkey explaining his background, Patriarch Subhuti laughed. His eyes were extremely deep and he stared at the stone monkey with flickering gaze, as if a myriad of changes were taking place within it, traversing the long river of time. With just one glance, Feng Lin's mind was immediately emptied. He suddenly had the delusion that the gaze had seen through the stone monkey's body and was looking straight at him. A faint laughter rang out next to his ears. "Since you're a macaque, this is a good fit. Amongst my disciples, you're amongst the generation with the Awu name. I'll give you the name Sun Wukong." What was Wukong? There was no form nor characteristics at the beginning of time. Wukong, 1, is required to break through ignorance. It was as if a divine thunder had split open the chaos. Feng Lin's heart instantly cleared up and all his troubles dissipated. His intents became extremely strong and he broke out from the illusionscape, heading straight for the clouds. Boom! Feng Lin's eyes opened abruptly, ripping through the darkness like a lightning flashed across the sky. The mythological genes in his body kept on twitching, being completely stimulated. Monkey King gene +1, +1, +1. Tao Heart gene +1, +1, +1. 1. The Wukong here represents both Sun Wukong's name as well as the comprehension of emptiness. Chapter 427, Changes in the Battle Situation. Name, Feng Lin. Vitality, 9780. Heaven gene, Monkey King gene x8, Tao Heart gene x10. Transcendent gene, Spiritual Stone Monkey gene x10, Beast King gene x10, Minute Knowledge gene x9, Meditation gene x8. Genetic potential, 3680. The mythical fantasy world was like a dream. After one had fully unraveled the mysteries of the mythical world, it was then time to return to reality. Why was he named Wukong? It all went by like a dream. Regardless of the tricks and transformations of the universe, nothing shall disrupt my inner peace. At that thought, his Tao heart flourished, and in an instant, the Tao heart gene's strengthening tally rose exponentially. The training method to develop different mythological genes varied from one another, and increasing one's genetic potential was just the most common method to do so. The more unique a mythological gene was, the more tedious the training would be. This was especially so when one needed to push past the bottleneck. They would typically need to unravel the mysteries and gain critical insights to do so. In this case, honing the Tao heart was the training method to develop the Tao heart gene. After a trip across the oceans to hone the Tao heart and a journey through the joys and suffering of the world, the Bodhi named the stone monkey Wukong. Feng Lin finally comprehended the true meaning of attaining a thoroughly empty and peaceful state of mind. Pushing past the bottleneck, he triggered the absolute awakening of the Tao heart gene, causing it to rise exponentially. This elicited the transformation of his vital attributes. His Monkey King gene had strengthened to 8 points. His Tao heart gene exceeded that in an instant and was maximized to the full 10 points. Feng Lin was just 2 points away from exceeding the range of Grand Cultivators and would be en route to leveling up to Adept Cultivator. However, this would not be an easy leap to make. Once he achieved this, he would enter the top 3 realms of cultivators and be considered the cream of the crop of the interstellar human community. After all the trials and tribulations, his journey as a grand cultivator was finally coming to a fruitful end. His vitality was also nearing the grand cultivator's upper limit of 10.000. Along with it was the feeling that he possessed an endless stream of energy, strength, and a constantly renewed sense of genetic power. This created a momentary misconception that the genetic power in him would never be depleted. However, he knew well in his heart that that was not the case. The renewed sense of energy and power was just a result of the sudden exponential increase in his vitality. He was still 2 points away from maximizing his Monkey King gene and would need time to do so. Even though he looked forward to leveling up, he needed time to get used to the renewed sense of vitality. It would not be ideal for him to act recklessly now and risk forfeiting his entire progress. The Tao Heart gene was a supplementary gene that helped to stabilize one's foundation in cultivation. It did not wield much power on its own. While the Tao Heart was flourishing, Feng Lin gained an epiphany on the importance of the Tao Heart gene. It took tremendous effort to be able to control and wield the Heart Monkey Force, which was the niche strength of the Monkey King gene. It was not something that one could easily master. Buzz. Feng Lin intuitively activated the Monkey King domain, sending violent tremors through the void space. His Heart Monkey Force swiftly expanded and took the form of a transparent globe. Along with the strengthening of his Monkey King gene to 8 points, its domain expanded into the form of a transparent ball which was 24 meters in diameter, with its surface area nearing 60,000 cubic meters. It was not just the diameter that had doubled, the volume was easily 8 times its previous size. With the expanded domain, it now took an even greater toll on Feng Lin's spirit to keep the massive globe under his control. With his eyes closed, Feng Lin paid close attention to his surroundings. His senses were hypersensitive to the domain, not missing out even the tiniest details. A spiritual fluctuation immediately transformed the domain. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Water vapor started gushing toward him from all directions, twisting and turning like a water python meandering through the air, gaining speed by the second and surging uncontrollably like water rapids. Following the activation of the Heart Monkey Force, the river continued flowing and spreading out from the core of the force and eventually enveloped the entire domain. The unstoppable flow of water soon formed a giant vortex of incredible strength. If caught in the downdraft, one would inevitably meet a deadly end. At Feng Lin's will, another series of transformations took place. Mysterious sparks started shooting out from the center of the spinning vortex. As if the flow of water was its fuel, the red, glowing sparks rose from the core of the vortex and shot straight into the sky. The fundamental attribute of fire was not its ability to burn, it was its high-energy ion-propelled ability to shoot. Upon gaining insight into the mystery behind its fundamental attributes, Feng Lin could easily transform water to fire at will. After the flowing water had transformed into fire, the clash of the atoms went on to emit thunder and lightning through the air. The streaks of lightning were as thick as pythons, twisting and winding through the sky like they were alive. The thunderstorm was under Feng Lin's control like a well-tamed pet. Cloaked within the Monkey King domain, controlling the elements came naturally to Feng Lin. The Monkey King gene and Tao Heart gene had merged to form the Sun Wukong gene. The two genes were meant to complement each other from the start. Having awakened the Tao Heart gene, Feng Lin's sensitivity to the energy and laws of heaven and earth was heightened. He was now able to better control the forces at will. Improved mastery of the Monkey King domain also gave his overall prowess a boost. But that was not all. Prior to his deepened mastery, Feng Lin had already sensed that the route to better mastery of the Monkey King domain was not an easy feat. It concerned not just the strengthening of one's power but could also affect one's control. Space. As Feng Lin's spirit force penetrated the surroundings, he became hypersensitive to the space around him and could even feel traces of the energy flow. Under the manipulation of his spirit force, the space contorted and the light rays went erratic, creating something like a mirage of sorts. The essence of a high-level mastery of the Monkey King domain involved the manipulation of space. He had long suspected so, and his suspicion had now been confirmed. From being sensitized to the space around him to being able to manipulate its existence was an improvement, but he still needed to strengthen this skill. As Feng Lin was gradually training and working on his mastery, the alarm on his identity microchip suddenly went off. Who is that? Feng Lin furrowed his brows as he opened his identity microchip, coming face to face with a familiar figure. Who could that be but Zhao Yue? Upon seeing Feng Lin, she immediately blurted. Junior, we are in urgent need of 1,000 kilograms of crimson refinement gunpowder. Do you have any on you? That much? Feng Lin frowned. Though he was in charge of the crimson refinement gunpowder team which produced a large amount of gunpowder on a daily basis, the supply was monopolized by the army, making it hard for others to get their hands on it. Even if he had a certain degree of freedom in its allocation, 1,000 kilograms was still an incredibly large quantity. The only way to achieve that was if he started concocting them on his own right now. Feng Lin, please do help me. I would definitely pay you back for the favor. Be it in contribution points, star coins or mythological relics, feel free to name the price. Zhao Yue pleaded desperately. Feng Lin did not decide immediately. Senior Zhao, before I can give you 1,000 kilograms worth of crimson refinement gunpowder, first let me know what do you need them for. Feng Lin probed. Zhao Yue was startled by the question. Junior Feng Lin, did you not know? Naturally, it is for my final battle. You are already at that stage? Feng Lin exclaimed in astonishment. I think you have been cooped up for too long and forgot to keep an eye on the battle. The Great Wall Army had already mobilized their ultimate weapons, and the victory will soon be ours. Wait and see. Zhao Yue said solemnly. Feng Lin could not fathom how she could be so confident about this. The Black Spirit Tide transcended the galaxy and was looming aggressively toward them. The war had just begun. How could she be so sure that humans would eventually win the war? Without delving further into it, Feng Lin stepped out of his lodging and walked toward the Great Wall, looking up at the night sky. It appeared that the interstellar war had taken a drastic shift. The vast number of spirit mechanical beasts pushed past the energy shield and were heading straight for the Great Wall. Before his eyes, countless silver silhouettes glistened like lightning in the dark, slashing through the troop of mechanical beasts like battle gods. Sparing no mercy, the intimidating mechanical beasts simply looked like vulnerable creatures in their hands. Could this be the ultimate weapons that Zhao Yue spoke of? LMG 426, Changes in the battle situation. Name, Feng Lin. Vitality, 9780. Heaven Gene, Monkey King Gene X8, Dao Gene X10. Transcendent Gene, Spiritual Stone Monkey Gene X10, Beast King Gene X10, Minute Knowledge Gene X9, Meditation Gene X8. Genetic Potential, 3680. The mythical fantasy world was like a dream. After one had fully unraveled the mysteries of the mythical world, it was then time to return to reality. Why was he named Wukong? It all went by like a dream. Regardless of the tricks and transformations of the universe, nothing shall disrupt my inner peace. At that thought, his Dao heart flourished, and in an instant, the Dao heart gene's strengthening tally rose exponentially. The training method to develop different mythological genes varied from one another, and increasing one's genetic potential was just the most common method to do so. The more unique a mythological gene was, the more tedious the training would be. This was especially so when one needed to push past the bottleneck. They would typically need to unravel the mysteries and gain critical insights to do so. In this case, honing the Dao heart was the training method to develop the Dao heart gene. After a trip across the oceans to hone the Dao heart and a journey through the joys and suffering of the world, the Bodhi named the stone monkey Wukong. Feng Lin finally comprehended the true meaning of attaining a thoroughly empty and peaceful state of mind. Pushing past the bottleneck, he triggered the absolute awakening of the Dao heart gene, causing it to rise exponentially. This elicited the transformation of his vital attributes. His Monkey King gene had strengthened to 8 points. His Dao heart gene exceeded that in an instant and was maximized to the full 10 points. Feng Lin was just 2 points away from exceeding the range of Grand Cultivators and would be en route to leveling up to Adept Cultivator. However, this would not be an easy leap to make. Once he achieved this, He would enter the top 3 realms of cultivators and be considered the cream of the crop of the interstellar human community. After all the trials and tribulations, his journey as a grand cultivator was finally coming to a fruitful end. His vitality was also nearing the grand cultivator's upper limit of 10.000. Along with it was the feeling that he possessed an endless stream of energy, strength, and a constantly renewed sense of genetic power. This created a momentary misconception that the genetic power in him would never be depleted. However, he knew well in his heart that that was not the case. The renewed sense of energy and power was just a result of the sudden exponential increase in his vitality. He was still 2 points away from maximizing his Monkey King gene and would need time to do so. Even though he looked forward to leveling up, he needed time to get used to the renewed sense of vitality. It would not be ideal for him to act recklessly now and risk forfeiting his entire progress. The Dao Heart gene was a supplementary gene that helped to stabilize one's foundation in cultivation. It did not wield much power on its own. While the Dao Heart was flourishing, Feng Lin gained an epiphany on the importance of the Dao Heart gene. It took tremendous effort to be able to control and wield the Heart Monkey Force, which was the niche strength of the Monkey King gene. It was not something that one could easily master. Buzz. Feng Lin intuitively activated the Monkey King domain, sending violent tremors through the void space. His Heart Monkey Force swiftly expanded and took the form of a transparent globe. Along with the strengthening of his Monkey King gene to 8 points, its domain expanded into the form of a transparent ball which was 24 meters in diameter, with its surface area nearing 60,000 cubic meters. It was not just the diameter that had doubled, the volume was easily 8 times its previous size. With the expanded domain, it now took an even greater toll on Feng Lin's spirit to keep the massive globe under his control. With his eyes closed, Feng Lin paid close attention to his surroundings. His senses were hypersensitive to the domain, not missing out even the tiniest details. A spiritual fluctuation immediately transformed the domain. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Water vapor started gushing toward him from all directions, twisting and turning like a water python meandering through the air, gaining speed by the second and surging uncontrollably like water rapids. Following the activation of the Heart Monkey Force, the river continued flowing and spreading out from the core of the force and eventually enveloped the entire domain. The unstoppable flow of water soon formed a giant vortex of incredible strength. If caught in the downdraft, one would inevitably meet a deadly end. At Feng Lin's will, another series of transformations took place. Mysterious sparks started shooting out from the center of the spinning vortex. As if the flow of water was its fuel, the red, glowing sparks rose from the core of the vortex and shot straight into the sky. The fundamental attribute of fire was not its ability to burn, it was its high-energy ion-propelled ability to shoot. Upon gaining insight into the mystery behind its fundamental attributes, Feng Lin could easily transform water to fire at will. After the flowing water had transformed into fire, the clash of the atoms went on to emit thunder and lightning through the air. The streaks of lightning were as thick as pythons, twisting and winding through the sky like they were alive. The thunderstorm was under Feng Lin's control like a well-tamed pet. Cloaked within the Monkey King domain, controlling the elements came naturally to Feng Lin. The Monkey King gene and Dao Heart gene had merged to form the Sun Wukong gene. The two genes were meant to complement each other from the start. Having awakened the Dao Heart gene, Feng Lin's sensitivity to the energy and laws of heaven and earth was heightened. He was now able to better control the forces at will. Improved mastery of the Monkey King domain also gave his overall prowess a boost. But that was not all. Prior to his deepened mastery, Feng Lin had already sensed that the route to better mastery of the Monkey King domain was not an easy feat. It concerned not just the strengthening of one's power but could also affect one's control. Space. As Feng Lin's spirit force penetrated the surroundings, he became hypersensitive to the space around him and could even feel traces of the energy flow. Under the manipulation of his spirit force, the space contorted and the light rays went erratic, creating something like a mirage of sorts. The essence of a high-level mastery of the Monkey King domain involved the manipulation of space. He had long suspected so, and his suspicion had now been confirmed. From being sensitized to the space around him to being able to manipulate its existence was an improvement, but he still needed to strengthen this skill. As Feng Lin was gradually training and working on his mastery, the alarm on his identity microchip suddenly went off. Who is that? Feng Lin furrowed his brows as he opened his identity microchip, coming face to face with a familiar figure. Who could that be but Zhao Yue? Upon seeing Feng Lin, she immediately blurted. Junior, we are in urgent need of 1,000 kilograms of crimson refinement gunpowder. Do you have any on you? That much? Feng Lin frowned. Though he was in charge of the crimson refinement gunpowder team, which produced a large amount of gunpowder on a daily basis, the supply was monopolized by the army, making it hard for others to get their hands on it. Even if he had a certain degree of freedom in its allocation, 1,000 kilograms was still an incredibly large quantity. The only way to achieve that was if he started concocting them on his own right now. Feng Lin, please do help me. I would definitely pay you back for the favor. Be it in contribution points, star coins or mythological relics, feel free to name the price. Zhao Yue pleaded desperately. Feng Lin did not decide immediately. Senior Zhao, before I can give you 1,000 kilograms worth of crimson refinement gunpowder, first let me know what do you need them for. Feng Lin probed. Zhao Yue was startled by the question. Junior Feng Lin, did you not know? Naturally, it is for my final battle. You are already at that stage? Feng Lin exclaimed in astonishment. I think you have been cooped up for too long and forgot to keep an eye on the battle. The Great Wall Army had already mobilized their ultimate weapons, and the victory will soon be ours. Wait and see. Zhao Yue said solemnly. Feng Lin could not fathom how she could be so confident about this. The Black Spirit Tide transcended the galaxy and was looming aggressively toward them. The war had just begun. How could she be so sure that humans would eventually win the war? Without delving further into it, Feng Lin stepped out of his lodging and walked toward the Great Wall, looking up at the night sky. It appeared that the interstellar war had taken a drastic shift. The vast number of spirit mechanical beasts pushed past the energy shield and were heading straight for the Great Wall. Before his eyes, countless silver silhouettes glistened like lightning in the dark, slashing through the troop of mechanical beasts like battle gods. Sparing no mercy, the intimidating mechanical beasts simply looked like vulnerable creatures in their hands. Could this be the ultimate weapons that Zhao Yue spoke of? Chapter 428, Ultimate Weapons. Standing atop the Great Wall, Feng Lin watched in astonishment. While he was hiding from the world to train, he had thought that the battle between the humans and spirits would be a long and weary battle of the races. He had not expected the battle situation to have evolved so quickly as they fought on fervently without rest. The thunderous explosions of space shuttles, mechas, and cannons rang through the air, and the skies were tinted with their fiery red remains, all of which were signs of the ongoing battles happening outside the Great Wall. The war between the two races in the infinite universe gave little regard to night and day, and bloodshed was happening every second. It felt like a never-ending battle. At this stage, the fight was no longer about calculated moves and battle strategies, it was just a mindless streak of cold, numbing killings. On one hand, you had those who had crossed the vast astral river, devouring the energy of the races it massacred along the way. On the other hand, you had the ones who spent thousands of years building the Great Wall to suppress the power of the galaxy and protect its community. The two races were ready to give their all and had placed their lives on the line in this battle. It was a battle to the death and a test of their prowess. They couldn't wait to completely destroy each other. Having won the trial battle had given the Great Wall Army a great boost to their morale. Instead of focusing on their defense, they started actively attacking. The energy shield was as sturdy as the Great Wall and kept the area well out of the spirit's reach. Under the shield was one after another elite warrior, standing guard in space like a massive army. With their silver armor, they stood united, forming an impenetrable front. The spirit black tide continued to transport their mechanical army through the wormhole. Possessed by the spirits, the mechanical army forcefully broke through the energy shield and launched a deadly attack toward the Great Wall. The silver-armored warriors were unlike your usual interstellar warriors. Each one of them was a fearless, elite warriors, ruthless in their methods. Cloaked in their armor, they were unusually ferocious and intimidating even when pitted against the spirit mechanical beasts. Besides that, they were also well-versed in various genetic martial arts. Each and every move of theirs was without loopholes and exemplified their expert level of mastery. The menacing mechanical beasts were but dull puppets being ruthlessly massacred before them. A trail of mechanical ruins was all that was left after the silver-armored warriors were done with them. Boom. 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 Tremors could be felt through the area as hundreds of octopus-shaped spirit mechanical beasts, each with the size of an island, flew past the battlefield. As the war intensified, more spirits and mechanical beasts, including the leaders of the pack, gathered to join in the war. The strength of their attacks was magnified by at least tenfold. Under the leadership of the spirit mechanical beasts, the other spirit lifeforms surrounded and directed their attacks on the Great Wall. Their attacks came in waves, threatening to drown the Great Wall. Though the Great Wall University might be huge, it would inevitably still suffer considerable damage under such a flurry of attacks. However, these attacks were nothing to the silver-armored warriors. Though they appeared comparatively tiny next to the mechanical beasts, their steel bodies were unbelievably strong and powerful, seemingly feeling no sense of lethargy while fighting the mechanical beasts head-on. Like machines, they were perfectly unanimous in their actions, and they left no room for mistakes in every move they made. However, you could also see the essence of human genetic martial arts in them, and that was not something that machines could execute. It was like the energy of multiple warriors had been gathered in one, and like killing machines, they massacred the mechanical beasts in their way, leaving behind trails of scrap metals. On the front of the battlefield were hundreds of silver-armored undefeatable warriors. Armed with their swords and weapons, they targeted the weakest spot of the mechanical beast's formation, and in a swift move, easily slashed them into two. Even those gigantic mechanical beasts were no match against these nimble, flea-like silhouettes. One after another, they were split into half, and their carcasses were immediately brought back to the space shuttle by the interstellar humans for research. These extraordinary strong mechanical beasts, made from universe alloys, turned out to be incredibly fragile under the sharp blade of the warriors' swords. They seemed to have no fighting chance at all. The silver-armored warriors were like warrior gods who had completely turned the battle in their favor. It was groundbreaking for the humans to have obtained such a competitive advantage over their opponents. Feng Lin was excitedly taking all these in. These silver-armored warriors were incredibly strong, with an enormous amount of energy that never seemed to deplete. They were indestructible. However, Feng Lin could not sense any hint of mythological genetic energy from them. What could be the source of their energy and strength? Are they still humans? This was all a mystery. Feng Lin could not help but ask, "Senior Zhao, what is going on here? What are these silver-armored warriors?" He spoke in a halting manner, carefully watching his words as to not refer to them as things. At this moment, Zhao Yui looked surprisingly calm though her eyes shone with passion. "Feng Lin, you are new to Great Wall University and so there is much that you still don't know. What you see before you are the true foundation of Great Wall University and also our hidden ultimate weapons. They are the silver-colored war gods. The armor was cast in an unknown alloy of the universe and cannot be replicated. The Vajra exterior was indestructible and the Vajra weapons can cut through anything. Even though the mechanical beasts had iron and metal for joints and bones, they are but as vulnerable as tofu before the silver-colored war gods." Seeing Zhao Yui put the silver-armored warriors on a pedestal only made Feng Lin more confused. Since they had been here all along, why didn't they appear during the start of the war? Why did we have to sacrifice so many interstellar warriors? Feng Lin questioned, with furrowed brows. Upon hearing that, Zhao Yui gave Feng Lin a thoughtful look and replied plainly. It's because the silver-colored war god's systems had to be debugged. Debugged? Feng Lin exclaimed in shock. Do you mean that they are not humans? Are they robots? No. They are only half robots, Zhao Yui replied, shaking her head while she was at it. Feng Lin was still in shock as he anticipated further elaboration. Zhao Yui had no interest in suspense either as she went on to reveal the hidden secret. The silver-colored war gods may have mechanical bodies, but they also possess human souls. They were the predecessors of the Great Wall University and had been undefeatable for thousands of years. The war with the spirit races was not without yield. During then, we had learned to replicate spirit technologies to a certain extent. That is why after these predecessors had died and selflessly donated their brains, their battle willpower was honed and injected into these upgraded robotic technologies to create the ultimate weapons. Unfortunately, our knowledge of spirit technologies remained incomplete and we had not been able to recover their souls in full. We could only recover 3% to 4% of their battle strength and had to mimic mythological genetic energy through special mechanical equipment. Even so, their boundless stream of energy and easily replaceable mechanical bodies were sufficient to make them the triumph card of Great Wall University, so that's why. Engrossed in the new revelation, Feng Lin cast his eyes upon the silver silhouettes and could not help but feel a solemn sense of respect toward those who were intent on fighting the spirit races to the end even after their deaths. At this point, Zhao Yui added, based on the latest probe, the recent invasion by the spirit races could only be considered as a black tide of above-average level. It is not considered a large-scale attack. As you managed to uncover the motives of the human traitor, Great Wall University had the chance to wake the silver-colored war gods from their hibernation. It is a matter of time before we win this war. However, these silver-colored war gods are the Great Wall University's ultimate weapons and scarce in quantity. If we were to be on the offense, they may be separated in the vast universe and defeated. Every silver war god lost in battle is a major loss to the university. So that's our chance. We have to accumulate large amounts of crimson refinement gunpowder for the final battle. Feng Lin, please do help me with this. I see. Feng Lin acknowledged with a smile and responded, given our friendship, helping you is definitely not an issue. But I want you to promise me something. What's that? Zhao Yui's eyes lit up when she realized that there was still space for negotiation. A smile teased the corners of his lips as Feng Lin added in a low voice, well, when the time for the final battle comes, may I trouble Senior Zhao's team to let me tag along? What? You want to join in the fight? Zhao Yui exclaimed in surprise. She took a double look at Feng Lin and refrained from sharing more. Some things were better left unsaid. Even though she was aware that Feng Lin had advanced battle strength, it could not make up for his lack of experience. Going into the final battle was a dangerous affair with both sides having their aces out in the open. Even the Great Wall Marshals might join in the fight. It was not a battle for those with below adept levels. Why would Feng Lin dare to take that risk? Feng Lin smiled, knowing that it would not be long before he reached the level of adept cultivator. That was the source of his confidence. However, he had no intention of revealing all his aces. With a small smile, he reassured her. Senior Zhao, don't worry. I know my limits. Looking at the silver-colored war gods savagely destroying the mechanical beasts on the interstellar battlefield, he added nonchalantly, the fate of the interstellar humans is in the hands of the living. We cannot allow our human predecessors to not rest in peace and continue to worry about the safety of their descendants. That would be a real shame on us as humans. Chapter 429, Cooperation. We would truly be unfit to be humans. This calm sentence displayed Feng Lin's unwavering confidence and determination. When Zhao Yui heard this, she fell silent. She cast a deep glance at Feng Lin and didn't continue to persuade him any longer. The path of cultivators was extremely arduous to walk on. Mythological knowledge was severely lacking, and many didn't know what their future path would be like. For everyone that was able to reach this step and join the Great Wall University, they would all have their own convictions. Once they were sure of what they wanted to do, it was very rare for others to be able to persuade them. And ever since Feng Lin joined the Great Wall University, he had done many things that seemed impossible from the perspectives of others. Which of his achievements weren't surrounded by danger? Zhao Yui had cooperated with him many times and also understood his character very well. Once Feng Lin was determined to do something, even 8 horses wouldn't be able to drag him back from that line of thought. She decided to participate in the final battle to farm contribution points, and in order to better deal with the danger, she established an independent little team. Each of the members of her team was experts whom she went through great efforts to choose from. It was a cooperation of the strong. At the very least, their cultivation bases were at the mid-phase of the adept realm and they had their own special methods. Although this Feng Lin was invincible among grand cultivators, his combat strength and cultivation base were clearly insufficient. He also hadn't worked with the other experts before. If he suddenly joined the little team, would that be a bad thing? This was also a problem. As the captain, she had to maintain her rationale. She wouldn't allow friendship to spoil her judgment. However, this Feng Lin measured things very accurately, only willing to make a trade with her if she met his conditions. If she didn't agree with him, she wouldn't be able to get the Crimson Refinement gunpowder. And the Crimson Refinement gunpowder was obviously a great killing weapon to destroy the spirit race. This was an extremely important component of her plan, and she couldn't afford not to have it. In that case, things weren't so easy to settle then. What should she do? Zhao Yui found things to be extremely difficult to manage. Feng Lin could guess what she was thinking about, and didn't make things too difficult for her. He smiled, "Senior Sister Zhao, don't worry. I naturally know what I'm doing. Right now, although I'm just a grand cultivator, I have the improved version of the Crimson Refinement gunpowder in my hands. I won't be a burden to you guys." Improved version of the Crimson Refinement gunpowder? When Zhao Yui heard this, she furrowed her brows. She randomly thought of something and involuntarily asked, "Did you depend on that improved version to destroy the energy core of the mechanical giant?" Although she phrased this as a question, her tone was filled with certainty. After all, the energy core was something that made use of nuclear fusion technology. Its energy structure was extremely stable and it was as large as a miniature sun, containing vast amounts of energy. Not any external energy could easily destroy it. Back then, although there were many elite adepts and grand adepts on the battlefield, they had no solution either. Only Feng Lin, a grand cultivator, managed to explode it, causing countless people to be stunned. And also because of this, Feng Lin shot to fame, his name spreading through the universe. But Zhao Yui could see the crux of the problem. Although Feng Lin's battle achievements were truly exemplary, he had no way to change the fact that his cultivation base was low. This was the current boundaries set by the heavens. No one was a fool. Since this Feng Lin could accomplish such a magnificent feat, he must have depended on external aid. The recording of Feng Lin exploding the energy core was researched by countless cultivation groups in the Great Wall University, countless times. That golden sphere shot out by Feng Lin might be small, but many people took notice of them and they came to a conclusion. Those tiny golden spheres must be some kind of external object that was extremely powerful, containing unfathomable effect. This had already become public opinion. Most probably, only Feng Lin, who had been spending time assiduously cultivating during these days, didn't know about this. Upon facing her suspicion, Feng Lin didn't conceal anything. He nodded and admitted it, "That's right. That golden spheres are the crimson gold gunpowder." He didn't reveal the real name of the crimson gold cinnabar pill, terming it as gunpowder instead. Although Zhao Yui had anticipated this somewhat, upon obtaining his answer, she was extremely joyful. She hurriedly asked, "Junior brother phone. Since this is the case, can you sell the crimson gold gunpowder to us?" She seemed extremely urgent. She knew Phone Lin wasn't a braggart. Since this was an improved version of the crimson refinement gunpowder, its might would surely be many times stronger. If she could obtain the new version, her survival and victory rate in battle would be greatly boosted. However, this time around, Phone Lin actually shook his head. He wouldn't agree so easily just because of their friendship. Instead, he spoke. "This crimson gold gunpowder can only be controlled via special genetic power, and a special method in order to allow it to unleash its greatest might. This is something created through a unique concoction method of my refinement style. Those who haven't awakened the relevant mythological gene wouldn't be able to use it. Even if I sell this to you guys, you all won't be able to use it." Killing the members of the spirit race on the battlefield effortlessly. The Crimson Gold Cinnabar Pill was an extremely powerful weapon, one of Phone Lin's greatest trump cards currently. How could he easily divulge it? In addition, the concoction process was extremely difficult and their number was also exceptionally limited. How could he have spare ones to sell to other people? He even had to expend more effort to impart the controlling method. By doing so, wouldn't he divulge that he was familiar with the foundation of ancient alchemy? Phone Lin naturally wouldn't do something so foolish. Even if it was for Zhao Yue, he must reject her. Oh. Although Zhao Yue was disappointed, she didn't continue to have doubts. During that time on the battlefield, those golden spheres transformed into many phenomena revolving Phone Lin. Everyone had seen that personally. Clearly, those spheres were controlled by genetic power. His words didn't seem to be false. But even so, she couldn't help but feel regret at not being able to purchase the crimson gold gunpowder. But since she could still purchase the crimson refinement gunpowder, Zhao Yue didn't continue to try and persuade Phone Lin. And at this moment, Phone Lin spoke, dispelling her misgivings. "Senior sister Zhao, don't worry. For the next battle, I shall try my best to concoct sufficient crimson gold gunpowder." Their might was already witnessed by everyone. I don't dare say that they will be able to compare to powerful cultivators at the Grand Adept realm, but at the very least, their might wouldn't be inferior to any cultivators at the Adept realm. These words became the last straw that broke the camel's back in Zhao Yue's heart. She believed in Phone Lin's words. After all, she had personally witnessed the might displayed by the crimson gold gunpowder. Its might was truly extraordinary, it was the bane of the spirit race. Fine. In any case, she trusted Phone Lin. After some time of contemplation, Zhao Yue eventually agreed. Phone Lin nodded lightly. In this instant, both of them finally came to an agreement. Once both of them confirmed the terms, Zhao Yue naturally no longer hesitated. She decisively spoke. Given the prediction of the situation, victory or defeat would be known in a month. At that time, the ultimate decisive battle would be fought. Currently, the spirit tide has also reached its peak, and the reinforcements are increasingly lesser. Once over half of them are killed, they would surely retreat out from the Milky Way galaxy. According to the past modus operandi of the Great Wall University, they would surely send out cultivators to pursue the spirit race and plunder their technology. That will be the final ultimate battle. Danger and opportunity coexist together. War had always been a grand banquet for cultivators of the Great Wall University. As long as one can survive, the benefits gained after the war would be endless. At that time, we shall gather together again. During these days, please make your preparation, junior brother Phone. Please rest at ease. I'm on the verge of breaking through to the Adept realm, and 10 days are sufficient for me to concoct large amounts of crimson gold gunpowder. Phone Lin had no thoughts of evading the final battle in 1 month. He made a guarantee. That's naturally for the best. Zhao Yue smiled. The two of them nodded again, and their cooperation was now set. Chapter 430, Trip of No Return. Genetic potential plus 110, plus 110, plus 110. Ever since he understood the true essence of the Tao heart gene, his genetic potential surged up again, rising like a rocket. But in comparison, right now he needed 10,000 genetic potential points just to enhance one of his heaven genes by 1 point. He needed to put in a lot more effort. Ever since Zhao Yui came to an agreement with him, Feng Lin sank his complete focus on cultivation. May the rain or wind comes, he shall stand tall like a mountain. The date of the ultimate battle would approach soon. If his preparations hadn't been completed and he went onto the battlefield, that would truly be courting death. When he wasn't increasing his genetic potential, Feng Lin didn't idle even when he was resting. He was practicing his alchemy techniques non-stop. He spent large amounts of contribution points in exchange for various rare and valuable pill ingredients. He was spending money like flowing water. He wasn't stingy at all. Very soon, 5 million contribution points were directly spent. Feng Lin didn't stop as he continued to use the Earth Fiend True Fire to concoct pills. Very soon, numerous crimson gold cinnabar pills were formed. The golden sphere-like objects resembling pellets were perfectly round, and a faint treasured light radiated from them. With just a single glance, people would know that this wasn't an ordinary object. When he clutched them in his palms, they were as tough as jade. It was extremely hard to destroy them. Within it, extremely condensed explosiveness was contained. In the earlier battle, he had over 100 crimson gold cinnabar pills, but they were completely insufficient. This time around, Feng Lin no longer made the same mistake. He did his best and produced as much as he could. Within half a month, he actually concocted a total of 1,286 crimson gold cinnabar pills, 10 times more compared to the previous time. He performed hand gestures with one hand and sent his spirit force out, causing a cinnabar pill to float silently in the air. This pill transformed into shooting stars, revolving rapidly around him as agile as a skylark with the speed of a bullet. Thin lines of golden light circled around Feng Lin, emitting swishing sounds. Once it exploded, everything in the surroundings here would instantly crumble apart from the explosion. As to its true level of might, Feng Lin could only test it out on the battlefield. Also, during these days of assiduously cultivating and consuming alchemy pills, Feng Lin still managed to gain a free heaven genetic point. He directly added the point to the Monkey King gene, enhancing it to 9 points. The Monkey King domain expanded to 27 meters, and the area it covered expanded by 1.5 times, soon nearing 90,000 square meters. This was an extremely terrifying number. Feng Lin's domain encompassed a huge space. All energy matter in it was within his complete control, there were no dead angles. It could be used to attack or defend. Unless someone managed to break his domain directly, it would be impossible for them to defeat Feng Lin. This was a type of perfect power that had no flaws. All cultivators had their own extraordinary abilities and powers. A perfect type power would only manifest if one walked on the strongest mythological paths. This was Feng Lin's greatest dependence. Also, he had always been incomparably clear about this point. Now, the strengthening tally of the Monkey King gene was only at 9 points. Feng Lin wasn't satisfied. H wanted to max it out as soon as possible, so he could break through to an even higher realm, which would increase his confidence greatly. He then entered seclusion, fully focusing on his cultivation and ignoring external matters. But the battles on the interstellar battlefield continued and the war reached a state of climax. The silver-colored war god Legion was the accumulation of the Great Wall University for several thousands of years. All of them used to be powerful warriors that had experienced hundreds of battle. After their death, they were transformed into the silver-colored war god Legion to protect humanity, becoming an undead army. When they were alive, their genetic martial arts were trained to the pinnacle and had become part of their instincts. There were no flaws. That, in addition to an unbreakable mechanical body, each of them had become an extremely powerful killing machine. Although those mechanical beasts were ferocious, before the skill of the silver-colored war god Legion, they were no different from wooden dummies. The silver-colored war god Legion continued to rack up kills. With a wave of their swords and sabers, they completely cleaved those mechanical beasts into pieces. Each of the gigantic mechanical beasts was as large as floating islands. However, they were all being suppressed. The mechanical bodies of the silver-colored war gods respectively gathered together, becoming a giant that was over 100 feet tall. This mechanical body contained the battle techniques of all the war gods. The gigantic octopus beast's metallic tentacles were slashed into twain and fell everywhere. Numerous spaceships flew into the air, collecting these valuable remnants. The power of the spirit race spanned across over 10 star systems. They possessed countless miraculous objects in the universe as well as extremely powerful alloys. With regards to humanity who were trapped inside the Milky Way galaxy, it wasn't extremely hard to come by chance for them to be able to collect such items. If they could find out the marvels behind the technology of these items through research, it would be of great benefit to humanity's science. The several thousand years of history had all proved this point. Every time, after a racial war, humanity would welcome a period where their science, technology, and civilization would undergo an advancement. After guaranteeing a victory in the war, these generous battle spoils would be even more heartening. The silver-colored war gods were simply invincible. They could fight one against many and wasn't in any way inferior. They were effortlessly massacring their enemies. Although their bodies were damaged by the spirit mechanical beasts, as long as the soul microchips, which were their cores, weren't damaged, they could always be recovered for an infinite amount of times. As long as new mechanical bodies were constructed, they could fight forever just like robots. They didn't fear death, they didn't know fatigue, they wouldn't stop killing, and this would last until the end of time. Before the ultimate killing weapons of the Great Wall University, these mechanical beasts were crushed completely with no way to retaliate at all. Outside the energy barrier, the black spirit tide churned wildly. They were now in a complete frenzy and sent waves after waves out, wanting to break through the strongest defense of humanity. However, the Great Wall University had already maximized its defenses. Vast amounts of energy flowed into it constantly, and the spirit race had no way to break this. The black spirit tide might seem endless in number, but they had their limits ultimately. After experiencing huge losses, it was inevitable that their offensive ability would weaken. The Great Wall University's intelligence group instantly discovered this point through their probes. They were clear that the final battle was on the verge of happening. The atmosphere within the university grew increasingly nervous. Feng Lin was in the university, and it was impossible to not notice this. He hastened his cultivation speed. The higher the cultivation base, the harder it would be for them to have a breakthrough. As large amounts of medicine were swallowed into his stomach, and as the 30th day came about, Feng Lin finally managed to max out his Monkey King gene, enhancing it to 10 points. He didn't hesitate and instantly fused them together to evolve it. Monkey King gene x10 plus Dao Heart gene x10 equals Sun Wukong gene. He had finally reached this step. As the name implied, Sun Wukong gene was the most crucial realm in the Sun Wukong mythology path. Upon entering this door, a brand new world would open up before Feng Lin. He would be able to gain the essence of Sun Wukong's abilities. Feng Lin felt unprecedented wellness. He was already prepared for this as both his body and mind were at their most optimal states. His spirit also slowly entered the world in the depths of his heart as the genetic map appeared before his vision. 2 gigantic golden constellations shone resplendently, akin to ancient eternal stars that hung suspended in the starry skies. Each of the golden constellations had branches extending out from them, like branches of trees. Each contained evolutionary roots and boundless mysteries. Monkey King Domain, Indestructible Dao Heart. One was filled with boundless transformations, capable of evolving his domain, gaining control of everything in it. One allowed his heart and mind to be stable. Despite experiencing countless experiences in the mortal world, his original heart would never waver. Feng Lin intentionally tried to fuse these two different genetic powers as one. The two constellations shone brightly. A flood of starlight, like water from clear springs, flowed from them as they gradually congregated together. However, what was strange was that things were different from the past. The two different sources of starlight weren't able to merge at all. Now, Feng Lin felt that these two genetic powers were somewhat sluggish and remarkably different from the other. It was extremely hard to merge them as one. No matter how much he tried, he still couldn't find the crucial point to achieve a breakthrough. Upon seeing that the time limit had arrived and he couldn't succeed in his breakthrough, he could only choose to give up for now. Although he felt some regret in his heart, he wasn't discouraged. He had already done his best. This was especially so because he was too tyrannical in terms of strengthening his genes. His own control hadn't reached that extent, but his strength was already on the next level. His future path was cleared. Next, he needed to put in the effort and try to adapt to it. He couldn't be hasty. A perfect mythological Dao path was after all a perfect mythological Dao path. Feng Lin's two heaven genes were maxed out. His vitality stat had already broken through the great limit of 10,000 and reached 12,890. He already wasn't weaker compared to adepts. And during the month, he managed to concoct a total of 3,272 crimson gold cinnabar pills. It was sufficient for him to establish a foothold in the final battle. The final battle is about to start, and the spirit tide already showed signs of retreating. For those who are keen to participate in the battle, everyone is to gather on the top of the Great Wall University's giant walls. All of a sudden, a reminder rang out, echoing through all corners of the Great Wall University. Had the final deciding battle finally started? A glint of sharpness flashed in his eyes as Feng Lin got up to his feet. The souls of the experts from the previous generation weren't willing to die off just like that. They chose to become eternal guards of the Great Wall University instead. As someone from the junior generations, if they wanted to surpass the previous generations, how could they always hide behind the backs of the senior? Now. It's time for us to be on the battlefield. Feng Lin took large strides and moved over, advancing courageously forward. For this battle, if they couldn't exterminate the spirit race, they would never return.